This illustration deals with identification of power sources, NEC 705.10. Notice 705 is utilized when you're connecting your power source or sources in with the utility to provide power in case the utility power is lost for any reason. And the purpose of change is to provide a revision to address the concern of providing a directory to locate all on-site power sources for a building and to standardize the placement card locations contained with similar requirements that might be in other articles. Now, to kind of illustrate this provision a little bit better and provide information, we're going to look at the three notes first. Now, the note to the right, the plaque or directory shall be marked with the wording caution, multiple sources of power per 705.10 and 110.21b. And of course, you know, this requirement here is to let maintenance people, operators maybe, inspectors, engineers, they will know that they have more than one power source, and they would also know they're connected in to the utility power, and if they should lose the utility power, then they know that these systems will kick in some cases, depending on how it's designed. And then notice the note 2. Any posted diagrams shall be correctly oriented with respect to the diagrams located per 705.10. Note 3 now says for multiple co-located, see 705.10 exception that requires only identification as groups. Now, notice you may have a PV system in the boxed in information that you see there. You may have wind systems. 705.10 kind of says, yeah, this is more than just one system, it's a group. And you may even have batteries in Article 480. You may have fuel cell systems, 692. But the main thing, you would need your other possible power sources with disconnects, and then on those disconnect covers, you would have a plaque identifying where these power sources are that are in addition to the utility power sources. And then we would like at this time to kind of call your attention to the call-outs. Notice right at the very top, we have the to the utility transformer, wherever that may be located. Then you have your interactive inverter, Part 2 to Article 705, meaning that inverter will bring the emergency power sources on with the amount of power needed to supply critical loads and loads that you just don't want to lose if you should lose the normal power. And then notice the conduit or raceway feeder from the generator into your interactive inverter. The call that says interconnected electrical power protection now has to be provided in accordance with 705.10. Next, we'll take a look at the generator itself, and most of the generators come with a disconnecting means and a protective overcurrent device for the conductors as outlined in 705.10. Then notice the service equipment 2 to 6 main disconnects, 230.270, 232, in 705.10 where you have one main or two mains, or exactly how 230.71b 3 calls for there. I believe that's the right section, 230.71b, and you look at that item 3. and I think my memory serves me correct that section to get it to you. But you know you're referencing 230.70, 230.71, and 230.72 when you deal with the service disconnecting means. Now, when you put these generators in, if you wanted to look at more detailed information for the conductor sizing from the generator over to the inverter, go to 445.13. Dealing with disconnects, depending on if you have parallel hookups or parallel generators or just one generator, go to 445.18 and 445.20, and a lot of good information is provided there. Now remember, a generator can be a 700 generator, which is emergency, or it could be a legally required standby generator, which would be Article 701. Also, that generator may be a 702 generator, optional standby, and the loads to that generator supplies, or a generator supplies, to classify it, remember, go to 700.2, 701.2, and 702.2. We only use Article 705 when we're interconnecting with the utility at our transfer switch. And then we said the transfer switch can be a 3-pole or 4-pole in compliance with 250.30 informational notes 1 or 2. If the generator is installed permanently, then we said C 250.35B as in boy. Load and supply, we identify that where it's load or supply, and 250.130 and 250.142. Now, that information coupled with the purpose of change, the revision that took place here, will help you understand why some of these revisions have taken place. Now, I know we've gave you some sections to look at. The illustration sometimes a little bit busy, but if you just want to know the change, then just look at the caption, identification of power sources, the sections given, NEC 705.10, read your purpose of change, and then read any notes that you have, and you pretty well will have the change. Then the other information you see up there on the illustration is just to help you understand more reasons why this revision was provided. And then if you remember, if you're dealing with signage, and if this happens to be a optional standby type generator, then we would go to 702 and look at A there, and that would pick us up. So just keep these sections that we quoted to you in mind, along with the purpose of change section, and I think we'll have a better understanding of why this revision was accepted and added to 705.10. But again, I will call your attention and make sure that we understand this. If you're designing generators that fall in Article 700, review it very carefully. If your job is installing 701 legally required standby systems, review Article 701 for all changes and revisions that have taken place there. And if you happen to be installing an optional standby system, then is it a dwelling unit that you're supplying? Is it commercial or industrial? Then you would go to Article 702 to pick up your rules. So be sure you review 702 very careful to see if one of those revisions or changes has an effect on your design or installation or your inspection. But remember, Article 705.12 is a very important section that we would review if we're connecting the power source in with the utility power source.